Hey there, Postal here. So today we are looking, actually back up this week, we're going to be looking at some American planes in the American tech trees. Lead up to Thursday, July 4th, our Independence Day here in the United States of America. So let's start off. We're going to be actually reviewing a plane that was not on my radar to get anytime soon, something I wanted to get eventually, but I was able to get it a little sooner than I thought. And that's going to be the XP-75. Let's go ahead and take a look. Alright, so first things first, this whole week we're going to be reviewing or having gameplay from some of the planes that are going to be on the USA tech tree. Today is going to be the XP-75. I've got a decent amount of this tech tree filled out. I just have to get the F-84F as far as standard tech tree is concerned, and then the bombers, which I haven't done any of, but we'll get on it eventually. Today's plane that we're looking at is the XP-75. I was lucky enough to have it gifted to me. It wasn't on my radar as a plane I needed to get anytime soon, but just kind of wanted to get eventually. And why wasn't it on my radar of something to get soon? Well, on paper, it's crap. Just gonna say it. It's crap. It's a kind of middling Tier 7 heavy fighter. And if we compare it to some of the other heavy fighters I've got here, you're gonna see that. And because mainly when you're in a heavy fighter, it's about your guns, right? I've got a couple of the other Tier 7s. Got a Hornet here. Hornet's got a pretty decent amount of guns. You've got 4 of the 20 mil Hispanos, which everybody knows is great. You've got some bombs and rockets, so you're able to do some damage to the ground. You got a decent airspeed. TU-1, which is another Tier 7 premium plane, was able to win that. You've got these awesome 23s and these awesome 45s. You can basically decimate everybody you come across. Your gun armament is great. You've got your turrets that you're able to defend in the back there, and you're getting your airspeed's okay. Another plane that I'm gonna have to do a review on one day. I really actually enjoy this plane. I didn't think I would, but it's big about the guns. You've got a huge 57 mil in the front that just punches holes in other planes. You can definitely punch above your weight. You've got a rear gunner again. You've got a couple bombs, kind of more like a multi-role bombs than heavy bombs, but good all-around airframe. And then I looked at the XP-75 and I was like, oh yay, goody, there's 10 guns, but they're 10 50 cal machine guns, and they're the meh machine guns. They're not even like the top tier machine guns. So the effective firing range is only about 1,700 feet, which means really about 1,500 feet is when you can trust them to hit more consistently. About 2,000 feet is like the extent of their range. And they don't do a whole lot of damage even when you have 10 of them. Got a couple bombs on here, but bombs are of this type, of this size, and only having 2 are kind of supplementary. So you're going to look here and you're going to say, wow, 477 cumulative damage. Wow, that's amazing. It's not very good at all for this tier, especially for a heavy fighter. But what does stand out about it when I was doing some research after I received it, isn't necessarily its airspeed, although its airspeed is pretty good. It's actually something in its altitude performance and its maneuverability that I saw here. So let's start with the airspeed and the altitude performance, because I think they're kind of linked. The airspeed's okay, but you're able to get it to a decent amount, and it doesn't bleed its airspeed like some of the other planes I just went over do. Actually, all 3 of those, Hornet, TU-1, Key 93, I'm sure if we looked at, I don't know about the BF-109Z, but the planes I've got still, as far as heavies are concerned, bleed their speed pretty well. You can get up to a good speed, and then suddenly, you've lost 50 miles an hour in 2 seconds, because it's just the way the plane works. This plane can maintain very well, and that's why its rate of climb is so high, I believe. I'm not an expert on the stats for World of Warplanes, but you'll notice in this game there's a couple times where I just kind of go straight up, and you can do that in this plane and maintain your speed. Before I played any games in it, I kind of set it up for additional speed, and we'll go over that in just a second. So maneuverability is actually not bad. Again, you got to think we're in a heavy fighter here, so 13.1 seconds is not the worst in the world. I haven't straight up compared it to my other planes. 13.9 for the key, T116, God. 14.4. So yeah, it's got the best maneuverability at tier 7 here as far as what I've got. I mean, you can't rely on it to like dogfight, but you can rely on it to get you out of trouble or get behind somebody that was trying to outmaneuver you. And that's something that's kind of, it's not going to make or break the plane, but it's something nice to have in your back pocket there, so to speak. So we've talked about the 10 guns. In my opinion, if you're going to have 10 machine guns, well, you've got 10 guns, so anything that you do to one gun is going to, be multiplied by 10. So the forward-firing weapon was going to be the most important aspect of this particular plane. I opted for the gas-operated action. I actually moved it to improved. I don't necessarily change my equipment from stock to improved automatically, but in this plane I thought it would be a good choice. And I went to, the reason why was because I wanted to boost my chance of causing fire. And you're able to get that with 5% boost to causing fire. Yeah, you lose some accuracy, but you've got 10 guns. Like, some of the guns are going to hit. So I boosted the chance to causing fire. I also did the improved sight, and this I always do improved sight typically, or a sight on the equipment rather than cockpit armor typically. Very rarely do I do cockpit armor unless it's like a ground pounder or a bomber. And then I re-rolled to have this do improved chance of causing fire. So there's 15% boost in chance to causing fire, plus your universal ammunition. You're going to notice a lot of planes catch on fire. I think that's really important for this kind of plane because you're not going to necessarily kill them with your cannons because you don't have cannons, so you want to be able to supplement your mediocre damage output by catching them on fire. And last but not least, I've gone and set this up for speed. I had the Project of Germany boost mixture, and I improved that. So I've got a little bit less boost availability, but my acceleration's better, my maximum speed's better, and my cruise speed is better. So I felt like that's the way to go. I don't know if I specialize this particular plane, which I've played about 10 matches now. If I specialize this particular plane, if I'll go for maneuverability, since we've got a little bit more maneuverability as far as it's concerned, or if I'm going to get even more engine thrust, we'll see. The engine does get knocked out quite a bit to a frustrating amount. To the point where I might specialize it just so I can get a manual restart. The engine's mid-mounted, as you can tell, but what that means in reality is I get it knocked out from the front and I get it knocked out from the back, and it's really quite frustrating. I had made this initial intro screen and then accidentally deleted the recording, and then have been trying to do additional ones. So this is my third attempt now on doing an intro screen, but I definitely get frustrated with the mid-engine getting knocked out all the time, and yeah, so that's something that you need to be wary of. But yeah, I'm really enjoying this plane, and I know if you watch this channel, you probably watched the Friday Night Flights that I had with VBAT, where the two of us were both in this plane and we were just melting planes, but this plane's actually good on its own. Tier 8 can be a little frustrating. There's a lot of great planes at Tier 8, and the guns are even more mediocre when you're down tiered. But it's not terrible. You just have to kind of play it like a multi-roll where you avoid contact until you know you can do some damage. At Tier 7, you can pretty well own the skies. It's just you've got to determine where you're going to be best suited and where you're going to make the biggest impact. Avoid those confrontations where you've got too many light fighters that can get behind you because you can't get away from them, or too many planes that have too much hit points that you can't knock out quickly. And you'll do pretty darn well in this particular plane, and it makes pretty good bank too. I was noticing that I was making about 100 on average, about 150,000 silver a match, and I'd say 125 to 160,000 on average. But it could make 200,000 in a really good match. So it's a pretty good credit earner as far as a tier 7 heavy is concerned. You gotta like the machine guns though, right? If you're not down with the American 50 cals, you're gonna hate this plane. Absolutely hate this plane. In fact, when I was contemplating getting a tier 7 heavy premium plane, I didn't get one a couple months back. I would have gone with a VB-10. Now I never got the VB-10, but at least the VB-10 it had 650 cals, but it also had 4 cannons. I figured, well, at least I can get some cannons out of the deal. But this plane plays very, very well. You've got to like the 50 cals, and if you're okay with that, if you've gone down the American lines, you know what you're getting yourself into when it comes to the machine guns. But this is a very capable fighter. Just gotta make sure you play it towards its strengths and avoid confrontations that you can't come out on top on. So let's go ahead and hop into the battle and take a look at some of the gameplay. Okay, so we're in a tier 7 battle, which is really where this particular plane excels. Tier 8 can be... there's a lot of heavy cannons, there's a lot of heavy speed, and the jump from tier 7 to tier 8 can definitely be detrimental to a plane like this. So we're in a tier 7 battle. Certainly is going to help our results at the end. Taking a look at the map, this is also a really good map for this type of plane. Mining facilities, kind of like multi-role planes, mining facilities are not the best thing for this particular plane to go against. You've got 2 bombs, kind of mediocre. I use them kind of supplementary, and they're not enough to actually flip a sector. So mining facilities are, well, they can be cumbersome. But we're taking a look here. We see some of the defense aircraft. I want to go after this P-38, get him knocked out, and you can just see literally a wave of 50 cal, and we're able to get him on target and continue on. So I want to get this flipped. I see that the garrison to the north is flipped, so I know that we're going to have some reds coming in pretty quickly. Let's go ahead and see what we can do. So very often this plane, I will fire my machine guns and not necessarily worry if I kill them, trying to set them on fire and continue to go. You'll also notice that I'll start firing ahead of time. I figure they're machine guns, they're not going to overheat. It'll help me get my guns on target a little bit quicker. Here we are going up against that TU-1 that I was talking about earlier. We're able to kind of stick with him, but he's got that rear gunner that's proving to be a real pain in the butt. But if we get behind him, he's kind of stuck. Our engine's knocked out. I figure, well, what the heck, I'll try to hit some other things while I'm over here. And figured I was just going to hit this guy and continue, but he's kind of making slow turns. And, well, then I'll stick with him if he'll let me stick with him. He has a P-47, which is pretty unmaneuverable, so it probably gave me the opportunity to hit him a little bit harder. So now we've got these ground pounders. I'm going to try to knock them. Again, I'm just kind of hitting passes and going. If I can catch them on fire, all the better. If not, well, so be it. This plane works really well when it's in a flight or with somebody that might have cannons. So you'll notice very often I'm attacking planes that are being attacked by other planes, just because it supplements the mediocre damage I'm doing. So you can see right here, this is one of the instances I just go straight up, and I can do that. I've got my boost engaged, and I'm actually gaining mile per hour, which doesn't always happen when you're going straight up, no matter what kind of plane you're in. So you can really see that this holds its speed pretty darn well. Wanted to get this guy knocked out, and these machine guns are really, really detrimental to the Japanese and the Soviet light fighters. Any Japanese plane really catches on fire pretty quickly thanks to all these 50 cals. So you see him firing a little bit ahead of time there. Want to get on target, hit him and go. And I'm just kind of going up and down, whatever might be nearby. We've got 3 sectors. It was a pretty close game, and I knew it was going to be a pretty close game. So, taking a look at the map, I want to try to get that either garrison, or the airbase on the opposite side. I do see the bomber that's up here. It's a human. I want to go get him. I've got a little bit of momentum, but you can see even though I'm at the extreme of my altitude and pretty extreme of my speed, it's extreme slow, I was able to continue to maintain that and get him. Barely, but got him. Got that flames in the sky, which you'll get very often with this plane, especially if you set it up to do that. Again, it's just a reason why I recommend doing that. We've got 10, 50 cals. You might as well supplement that. I'm willing to bet a good chunk of the damage I do is because I've actually set a plane on fire rather than hit it directly with the machine guns. So I'm heading back down here. Kind of playing defense right now. We're up on points. If we can hold 3 sectors, obviously we'll win. I see that the garrison over here is pretty low, so I want to go ahead and eventually start heading that way. Maybe we can get it flipped. I'll see the TU-1, and anytime I get the chance to go against that particular plane and get it out of the way, I want to do that. So let's go after these P-38s. Takes forever to get within range sometimes, especially if it's a fast plane that you're going against, like a P-38. Finally got him on target. One of the great things about these machine guns is if you run up against somebody like I just did that was on like 10 hit points, just get your guns on target. You've got so many of them, you're going to hit him. So I was able to take out that multi-roll. It was probably the game that I realized that this plane is a lot more maneuverable than a TU-1. I'm able to get behind him. Doesn't matter that he's got a rear gunner if I'm able to get behind him that quickly. So we flipped this sector. Unfortunately, they've got 3 now. They flipped 2 in the time that it took me to flip 1, which is kind of lame. So I wanted to go ahead and get towards the airbase. And this is actually where I make the mistake of the game. Because I'm going to the airbase here, I just killed that TU-1. I'm going to go set that meteor on fire. And able to flip over because I was going up and he was going down. I was able to outmaneuver him. But anyway, the TU-1's going to pop up here. Everybody's going to pop up here. And it's going to be the game changer, unfortunately. I was paying attention to this heavy fighter and realized there's an FW-190 to my right, too late, and you never go head on against an FW-190D, at least when you're on less than full hit points. Those guns will tear up anything. And so now I'm toast, which under normal circumstances wouldn't be the end of the world. What is the end of the world, though, what's going to change this game, is literally everybody popped up in that airbase. Because I was attacking it, that was the best place for them to pop up, and now they're just a giant swarm. So my plan is to hop down here, defend this a little bit, try to get up to one of those garrisons and see if we can flip that. We're still leading on points. Somehow we just lost this airbase, which is really frustrating. Now we're down 4-1. And there we go, 10 guns. You got 10 hit points, you're toast. Now we're in real trouble, right? Yay, we got the center, but they've got a big old blob of people coming down to that garrison over there where one of the friendlies just pinged. They're going to take that garrison really quickly, and then I assume that they're going to be heading towards this garrison here. So rather than going over to that garrison that just flipped, I figure I'm going to come here. I'm really stuck in now, right? Got 2 multi-rolls and a light fighter. I need to take care of them before they realize I'm here. Luckily that guy was nice enough to hit a mountain. Let's go ahead and get this meteor. He's low on airspeed, and I'm behind him, so this is my opportunity. Luckily, he didn't turn very much. We've got that multi-roll behind us. Got a lot going on, right? We're down 4-1, and I need to flip a sector as quickly as possible. And for whatever reason, I decided to go to the center garrison there. I've been assuming for the last minute or two that everybody was going to be piling into the center garrison, and I could, take them out one at a time as they come in. But they kind of went back up to the airbase as I'm watching the gameplay now, and so my tactic of staying here and just kind of killing everything as it came to me didn't work out because nobody actually came to me. And we're going to run out of time before we have the opportunity to win the game. Which is a little frustrating. But, as far as personal accomplishments, pretty good game. Let's head back. Alright, unfortunately defeat. We did get 20 frags out of that, so I was able to snag an ace. But I really failed my team, I think, at the end there. I thought we were more ahead than we actually were, and once we were down 4 sectors to 1, the game was basically over. I wasn't able to do enough at that point, and it wouldn't have mattered what plane I was in. Once they're in a giant swarm like they were after they took that second airbase, it was going to be difficult to overcome that. So definitely bad strategy on my part, so sorry to my team. But we did get a lot of goodies out of this particular game. Ace, like I said, Kozadub even, grade 1, which we got kind of early on. And even in a loss, made 176,000 silver, would have been 117 without a premium account. So it's a pretty good silver earner. And it's a lot of fun, right? And so I highly recommend, if you do happen to get this particular plane, I'm going to be probably adjusting my service on it, or maybe actually specializing in this so that way I can protect my engine a little bit. It seems like the engine gets hit from the front and the back, gets knocked out pretty easily. It's kind of frustrating. But it might be one of the only weaknesses of this plane, other than the fact that it's got 10 machine guns and no cannons. So yeah, I highly recommend going for the flamethrower build, like I've done, for the increased chance of fire, and it seems to do a pretty darn good job. I've even got some incendiary ammunition, and I might toss that on there from time to time, and I got 63 of them lying around to really start setting people on fire, but it seems to be doing okay with universal ammo. Yeah, so do you happen to have this particular plane in your garage? Do you enjoy it? Have you been, were you surprised by it, or is this something that you've never thought of getting? I'll be honest with you, I never thought of getting this, so I definitely appreciate Legion for being nice enough to get this for me. I'm really enjoying it. I'm having a lot of fun with it. If you saw my Friday night flights with VBAT, you saw that we had a lot of fun together in it. But win, lose, or draw, this plane has actually been quite a lot of fun. The 10 guns really do set a lot of things on fire, and yeah. So I actually recommend this particular plane if you're down for if you like the machine guns that you get on a lot of the American light fighters, and don't mind that particular kind of setup. This is really good at kind of zooming and setting on fire. Not booming, but setting on fire. So if you can get this plane on discount, definitely go ahead and do that. I'm going to hop into another battle now. Have a great day.